that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Have you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die? And can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past that could be shared with the present moment? So I thought to myself, why not speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewer on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docu-series is to bring a new understanding and awareness to the subject of channeling, but looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
My journey was wake up every day, live life, go to sleep, wake up every day, live life, go to sleep, and then nothing. There are some experiences that I know of now. There's some experiences that I had that seemed a little unusual compared to my friends, my family, my siblings, but nothing transpired until late 40s. And that's when I started to do some different things. I've always been interested in leadership and bringing forth the idea that if you understand a person, if you accept your life story, then it'll help you look at other people as though they have a life story. And that way you become a better leader, more intuitive, more authentic, more forgiving. Little did I know that those were the words that were being given to me as what my pathway would be. And that's just the way of it. I had an interest in leadership and leadership development, and I wanted people to bring out their best selves. I went to Georgetown University for my master's, and I sat after I graduated. I went to a session where some of the speakers were there from previous classes, and they're talking to the new students. And I had a professor look straight at me and say, "Carol, what's your definition of leadership?" I had nothing prepared. I was just enjoying the conversation, watching the new students and just really reminiscing while I'm sitting there. And before I could even blink, manifestation of the true self flew out my mouth. I had no awareness. It's not a statement that I had ever said before and forgotten and then brought it back in that moment. That was the second time that I was aware that I spoke something that I had no intention of speaking. That was in 2012, 2013. So everything kind of went dormant. And then I had a relationship shakeup and I moved. I isolated myself. I changed everything. And I changed everything, my location, my furniture, my clothing, my friends, everything. And, it was just a true restart. And then I did one more thing. I found Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore gave me a gift that she didn't know. And it was through one of those Facebook groups, the Facebook chat groups. And I really didn't contribute. I read a lot. I was just in that isolation mode, kind of hibernating and trying to fix myself. And emotional intelligence, emotional balance was very important to me at that time. So I was seeking information to help recreate my own focus. And one of these days when I'm flipping through and I'm just reading people's posts, I came across a link that changed my life. And it was a link to Abraham Hicks. I listened to it. I opened it. And the first time I listened to it, the whole front of my chest became warm. It was like this warm sensation. And I was drawn to it like nothing that I've ever felt before. And I began to listen to Abraham day and night. It just played in the background. And then I found meditation. And then I began this process, this journey, this daily practice of quiet meditation. And Abraham said one time, you don't have time to not do it. And I've been on a lot of, this challenge or that challenge, I've done a lot of different things and ran a marathon and had a training program, but there were days that I missed parts of my training. With meditation, any day that I was running a little late, those words came so strongly back. You don't have time to not do it. And I'd shut the door, I'd sit down, I'd do my meditation, and then I'd go on with my day. 9 months into meditation, let me back up a little bit. About 5.5, 6 months into meditation, my face started moving. It was just a little, it's like this. And then it got bigger, and then it just started swirling around and swirling around. And then I kept hearing this voice say, is that the way my body receives energy? Or is it communication I'm not yet translating? And it was such a profound statement, but it entered my mind day after day after day for about 3 months. And then on March 20th, 2019, I'm sitting in meditation and my head is moving around like it always did. And then it swung to the left. And it stopped there for just a moment and then began spelling in cursive words. It's just words. And it was intelligence that I was speaking to, or that was speaking to me. It was telling me about the worlds. It was giving me information about my own life, my own pathway. And I said, who am I speaking to? And they spelled out, this is Yeshua. And so that's how I know the name. It was very distinct, cursive writing. I immediately, asked them what they wanted me to do. And they just went into this beautiful gift that they gave me of describing what it is that they want to teach through me, how they want to do it. And then they asked me one question: how far and wide do I want to take the teachings of Yeshua? And without even thinking, I just said, global. You have something to say, I want you to be able to say it. Whatever platform you need, that's what I want to do. And they said, good. So the no spelling and communicating with them in that way lasted about 2 months. And, silly things. I'd be laying in bed and I'd have to prop myself up on my elbows and let my face move so that I could communicate with them. And I would speak out loud and they'd answer. And I say they, because they did describe on that first day that they were beings that were brought together as a collective. So that's why I say they. And then about 8 weeks into it, they simply asked me, can we borrow your voice? And I said, yes, what does that mean? And then words began flowing out loud. I'm sitting in my living room, laying on my couch, and the words just began pouring. It started out as hello, and it was like this quick burst of a word. And then it was just fluid. And I've been consciously aware, very light trance channel ever since. And, I teach classes, I do retreats. I say I, but I like to say I'm the conduit for the collective to teach humanity about how to manifest things with ease. And that's really where it goes. You know, so many people know the power of positivity and thoughts create things, manifest your life. Well, they add one more component to that. And that component is, as we were talking about a moment ago, mudras and directing chi to cleanse limiting beliefs from your human physical experience. And when you combine those two things, when you combine those two things, you are unlimited. They call it the restart button when you add those two things together. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to let them flow their communication to anybody and everybody.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. There's so many points that you bring up there as well, and we're going to get into some of them in this time that we've got together. It's great to have you here, by the way. And gosh, I'm almost thinking when you're saying this, I'm guessing that, you know, this massive change of life that you had, that change of life had to happen for this to be allowed to have come in like it is. Was that a scary experience, sort of cutting everything off in a sense, or did you feel that you just knew that's what you were supposed to do, that you had to, for you to move on, you had to move away in a sense and go through a transformation as such?
It was the most beautiful connection. It was beyond my wildest dreams, is the best phrase. I've never had a bad experience with conversations with Source. I can't imagine having a bad experience. They are love, they are beauty, they are what they call purity of all that is good. Purity of all that is good. And I feel that. Their guidance is beautiful. They're funny, and they laugh and they sing to me. They move my body. They exercise me. They teach me. I have teaching lessons each day, and they talk to me about what it is that they're going to be teaching. They always say we have to teach the channel first, and then it flows accurately. And I love it. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Absolutely. You know, I bet if you met some previous people in your past life, this life in a sense, ex-partners, ex-friends, they may not recognize who you are now, but I'm sure you know everyone would be nice to each other in a sense, but you know you're on different sort of levels right now in a sense. You know, there's no higher or lower. You're just in a different space.
Different. Yeah, that is true. You know, it's a little known fact that you gravitate towards people that are like you. Opposites do not attract. Opposites do not attract, but you might attract something opposite to yourself. And that's where create your reality comes into play. So if you're a happy-go-lucky person, but you have worries on connecting with people, well, then you're going to connect with people that cause you to worry. That's just, you know, it's just one of the things that they teach. So for me, reconnecting with, you know, colleagues, you know, people that I've known in different phases of my life, some of them are overjoyed to hear what they have to say, and others are, I don't understand what you're doing. And I have some that are just, I don't want any part of that. And so I have private conversations with Yeshua or individual beings that are part of Yeshua, and I say, well, what's going on with them? And they say, well, here's what's going on. You don't need to know. But what they need to know is they've got a block here, or here, and it's causing them to have a perceived experience that is slowing down their vibrational countenance. So they give me all kinds of description of everything, but they guide me through negative experience. And then they draw people to me that are wanting more of the teachings from the guides or readings. You know, people want guidance, period.
Of course, especially nowadays, absolutely. And parents, are they still with us, or?
No. Well, yes and no. I have to say yes and no. My father did make his transition April of 2020, and my mother made hers in May of last year. But I have been speaking to my father in this spirit way since the morning of his passing, and my mother, same thing, the day of. So they guide me. My father helps me with mechanical things, My mother's in my car every day. We have personal conversations about life, about parenting and childhood and physical life experiences that we had together. But they also remind me that they see life in a purified way. And they say, I never knew I did that to you. You know, this innocent act, this innocent phrase, or this innocent, way of sit in the back seat, or don't do this, don't do that. I had no idea that affected your personality. And it's just an eye-opening, forgiving experience now.
As much as it was painful when they transitioned, I'm sure that you went through, grief as well. I guess, having that connection with them has made it easier. It's made it more understandable about where they've gone, right? Because a lot of us don't, it's a shock, isn't it, to a lot of people when someone they love so deeply passes, and they've, never considered the subject of, am I more than my body? And, it can be very tough.
It can be. And that's one of the experiences where I just feel blessed, because I already have the Yeshua collective teaching through me. I have the entity Seth, from Seth Speaks, teaching through me about the transition, the birthing and rebirthing process, that we step out of our body, so to speak, and we travel with guides to and from the world in this perceived experience. And they remind me that the personality that has a name associated to it does not die. We don't always use the body, but we continue. It's not a metaphor, it is real. And so I had those teachings before my parents made their transition, before they passed. So it made it easier.
Did they know of your work?
My parents?
Yes.
My mother, the day of her passing, she said to me, after she transitioned, when I first started communicating with her, she said, Carol, I know Yeshua. I know those beings. And I took her to mean, now she understood that I was channeling the ascended or the teachers. And she said, no, I am connected to them. They are my teachers. I know them. I actually know them. I can identify them. And that was fun, because, we don't know how many are on the other side, so to speak. And they just say there's a bajillion. They say, let's just use the modern vernacular of a bajillion, because you can't put a number to it. And my mother said, the ones that speak through you, Carol, I know them. And that's fun. So we have a lot of conversations.
Had there been sort of personal sessions with Mum and the guides?
Every day. Yeah, my parents I speak to every day. My father shows up here.
I'm so sorry, Carol. I meant when they were physical. Yes, when they were physical.
My father didn't have too much of an introduction. That was very early in the being able to receive them in this way. My mother, I did. We had discussions on consciousness, about dimensional realities, and I lived with her for about 2 months in 2020, and we had a number of conversations that were really healing and eye-opening. I got to hear her perspective. She was willing to listen to her parents speak through me, my father speak through me, the collective Yeshua speak through me, and really had some beautiful conversations. So it made it a beautiful connection. It was freeing, I think, to do that with my mother.
I think that would have helped in her passing as well. Do you know what I mean? That would have given her a lot of comfort, which is always a beautiful thing. And no kids?
Oh, me, I have 3 children, and I have 1 brand new grandson. My daughters are all in their 30s, and we're all very close, not geographically located next to each other too much anymore, but we're all very close.
Well, that's just the way things are nowadays, isn't it? Absolutely. And how do they take Mum's work?
They're getting used to it. When you have Mom is Mom, and Mom has a regular job, and Mom does everything that parents do, that people do. And suddenly Mom all of a sudden has this amazing, beautiful gift. They have acclimated to it really well, and they ask for guidance. I've had a number of conversations with all 3 of them. Some healing that's been done on, different things that they've needed, not feeling well, and so we do an energy session. plants and animals included. And so they're starting to understand that mom's not just mom anymore. And there's other people around when mom's around. So it's kind of, it's a transition. It's definitely something that takes a little getting used to, but they're supportive of it, definitely.
Thank you for that. And obviously you call yourself, well, you've gone under the branding of the Pittsburgh Medium. So what's the difference, before we start channeling, what's the difference for you, would you say, when, you're channeling or the mediumistic side is coming through? Or is it one of the same, do you think?
Yeah, for me, I channel. And I know there's a lot of definitions about what a channel is. A channel is someone who has communication with the spirit realm. Through me, they teach the differences between psychic, intuition, being a medium, having clairvoyant or ocular experiences, being an empath, and then moving into being a channel. And they call me a channel. So I do have a connection with loved ones. The sights, the sounds, the aromas, the physical sensations, all of those are very alive whenever I have a one-on-one session or group sessions. But I always just say this: what's easier? Me trying to interpret sights, sounds, pictures, or to just allow them to say what they want to say, how they want to say it. And they do that through channeling. So that's what I prefer, and that's what they prefer, because there's no. Go ahead.
No, but do you feel there's a mediumistic side there too, as well? Do you feel that? Do you feel that by doing this work, you've opened yourself up to the clairs, in a sense, clairaudient, clair visual, all of the clairs? Yeah,
it's a progression. To become a trance channel, there is a progression, and there's heightened sense of spirit in the room. There's physical sensations that show me they're here. The illustrations and the visions and the movement in the mind's eye, the hearing of voices and music, very distinct. Those are all there whenever I am in that trance state, channeling. Now, for me, a trance state takes about a blink of an eye. Others, it's breath work, and it's attuning to the energies that are flowing in. For me, it's the attunement is almost like it's always there. It's so quick.
Because you must have seen other channelers and how they sort of go down or through, or however you want to describe it, that they're, yeah. But for you, it was like that. And we're going to demonstrate that in just a moment. We really are. They're here now. I know they are, right? Well, they're always with you. Yeah, so because you mentioned Esther Hicks, and I'm sure you've looked at other, watched a few other channelers as well. But obviously this has been your full-time work right now, just doing this. When a client comes to see you, then is there anything that you haven't been able to help anyone with, in a sense? I mean, okay, let's cover it from this perspective: health, relationship, work, business. These are all and more included in services that you do.
They are. Relationship advice is frequent. Who should I marry? Am I going to marry? Are there children in my future? I had a miscarriage. Why? Is there healing that can be done? Is it me or is it my partner? Work. I've got 3 interviews coming up. Are any of them going to be good for me? Do they manifest into a position? Should I look for a job? I'm thinking about opening up a business. Any question that people have, I've never had them stump Yeshua or the individual guides of those people. I've never had any questions stump them yet.
How do you get out of the way? And also on top of that, I shouldn't really ask you 2 questions back to back. I think they fit together. How do you get out of the way? And also, how do you discern as well that you don't block it, but you're discerning that what's coming through is of value? I guess that comes down to the clients leaving saying that was amazing.
Well, I think everything that anybody in the spirit realm has to say is of value. And when you really understand the teachings of Yeshua, the foundational material is who they are, who we are, and what this perceived experiential reality is. And I think I've heard their teachings enough that I'm understanding that we're experiencing a physical life. It's a perceived reality. So when I'm here and I'm thinking about, I'm a physical person, I am having the life that my higher self chose to manifest. Everyone on the other side, the spirit realm, everyone knows everything about everything about everything. I don't. They do, because they have that there is no time, but they have a timeless perspective of everything. And I'm always relying on the knowing that they are infinite intelligence, no matter who they are. There's not a group of infinite intelligence beings and then your loved ones. It's when your loved ones pass, and when we pass, you and I both included, when we pass, we become aware that we have the knowledge of all that is at our fingertips. So when you take that in and let it really soak on you and settle on you, that is real, then I see everything that they say as of value.
With the groups that you bring through, obviously you've mentioned Seth and you've mentioned the Yeshua. What is the difference between those two groups?
Well, the Yeshua collective is a group. It's a community. It's a number of entity beings that have formed together to speak as one on things that they have identified that they want to teach through me about consciousness, who they are and who we are and why we're having this life experience. Number two, thoughts create things. Perception is your reality. Three, the Socratic system and how to direct chi to heal your limited beliefs, how to heal unconscious beliefs by doing different hand manipulations to connect energy points that push source frequency throughout your etheric body. So it's the Socratic system, and then teaching people how to channel. But the how to channel part of it, they call it the 4 pillars, and that's pillar number 4. It's increasing everyone's awareness that they're real. Number 1, they are real. We are real when we pass. And having a trust in them is helpful, because when you understand who they are, that they have intelligence beyond our comprehension, the trust factor goes up. When the trust factor goes up, our fear and doubt go down. And when fear and doubt go down, our ability to hear them loud and clear, and loud and clear is what we all want, not just as a channeler, but as a person who's wanting to manifest something. We want guidance. So it's increased intuition, and it is all of the clairs. Seth teaches the how to channel classes. He calls it ocularity. And moving forward, progressing in a very purposeful, sequential way to open yourself up to being a channel.
Okay, and I just want to mention this as well, that, your website is?
thepittsburghmedium.com.
Okay, and of course you do not just your consultations on there, but obviously there's the classes. You mentioned in this beginning part here, you teach how to channel. I think a lot of people have contacted me to want to learn that as well, and that's a class that you still do?
I do, but I like to make this caveat. I am the channel, and the spirit beings who are the teachers, it's a job, it's a vocation that they have chosen. They are teachers, and they are the ones that teach the students. So in the trance state, it's usually a very light trance state. It's an opportunity to hear your guide tell you how your mind works and what they're working on, to teach the mind how to translate vibrational communication so you can understand what they're saying. They're always talking to us. So yes, those classes, I do have active classes, active enrollment. I have some other events that are all posted on the website, and some information about the collective and myself as well. But I am the Pittsburgh Medium because they asked me to use that title, to use that name. And I said, well, I'm a channel, not a medium. they said, we're blending the two because you are a medium. The world knows medium. We want the world to know what a channel is. And that's why they love your show, is channeling, and the channelers that do tranced channeling. They create an opportunity for the guides to speak plainly. And that's what I love most about it.
You know, I never envisaged I'd ever have the domain name channeling.com. I never thought that I would, you know, be doing the docu-series. It's still ongoing right now. We're going to get to over 100 soon, you know, of interviewing just channelers. I mean, that's not the only interviews I do, but I've made it, you know, that niche as well. And I guess I called it forth. I know I did when I was living in Amsterdam. I know I did. But I just want to show people as well. I'm just putting my reading up on the screen as well. This is very, very quick, very briefly. The reason I'm showing you this as well is the example here of the mudras. So just very briefly, when people get a reading from yourself, you do include the mudras. And for those who may be wondering what that is, just very briefly, the mudras are?
Mudras are touch points. They're touch points that are throughout the body. And when you have different touch points that connect, then there is an exchange of energy, and that exchange of energy is always positive. And when you do it on purpose, and when you do it through sequences that are given to you to help you heal a specific thing, and follow the guidance of how often to do it, how long to do it, and what the touch, the amount of pressure should be, then it does heal whatever it is that is. You know, there's other things that go with it. You need to keep positive. You need to stay off the subject and do all of the things that are taught in ways of manifesting. But mudras are using the hands generally, and using them to connect different energy points. It's the easiest way to describe it. So there is no single set. If there is a specific ailment or a specific thought pattern, a specific behavior, a specific limitation of any kind, then they do come forth and they describe to people, as well as some evidential things about it. But they will offer to those that are interested in it a set of sequences to perform on themselves. It's self-healing. It's secret number 2, self-healing.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go into, well, not let you go into anywhere. I mean, I've sort of held them off a little bit because I just wanted to speak to yourself and have your, you know, little bit of time on air as well, because, you know, should we get you on again, we won't be doing that because people can refer to this part. But just to know a little bit about yourself, and I'm sure there's loads we've missed out there as well. You've got a whole life journey, but, you know, it's about the work for you right now. I understand that. And I'm guessing as well, the times that we live in right now, I'm guessing your work has been so much more meaningful to you as well. I'm sure it was meaningful anyway, but I mean, it's so needed right now.
I have received daily guidance on things that are happening in the world, what to pay attention to, what not to pay attention to, how to understand it, how to have a perspective on it that's healthy for me. And that's made all the difference, I think. Yeah. So I'm happy to bring them forward. They're all right here, of course, but.
So you just switch over, don't you?
There's right here. They might close my eyes. They do that on occasion, but otherwise it goes from having a light sensation on my lips to a strong sensation that my lips are being moved. And then the words just start flowing.
All right, well, let's get into
Guidance
it.
Starts flowing.
Yeah. Who wants to come through first? I mean, who do we have?
Seth to speak.
I knew it'd be Seth. Yeah.
You did. Now here's the thing. There are so many things to teach people. And now I keep Carol's eyes over this direction on purpose, because there's this thing called entertainment. And when people watch a lot of TVs, movies, sitcoms, whatever it is, they know that people are acting a part. One thing that channelers don't do often enough is they don't allow their guide to manipulate their body. Very simply, I move Carol's hand over this way, but I also keep her face pointed in this direction. I do that because she trusts me to do it. Now, the conscious mind, I like to describe it in these ways. Your superconscious, that's your parent soul being. The conscious you, that's that external you that's outward facing and is interacting with the world. There's the subconscious you, Jesus, in A Course in Miracles, called that the insane mind. Now, others have called it the self, lowercase s, the egoic self. All of those are acceptable by all of us. Then there is the super subconscious mind, and that is the source within. So I teach people that the egoic self is the one that needs to get out of the way. It's the one that needs to trust. It's the one that, believe it or not, is paying attention to everything that's going on around you. I did write a lot of books through Jane Roberts, and I've written a lot of books through Carol. I'm going to write a lot more. But I'm here as one entity being within the collective of Yeshua. There's a lot of us. Carol doesn't know them all. She never will, because we don't all have names. Some of us have been people and some of us have not. We get to choose whether or not to participate in reincarnation, and some of us enjoy it and have done it. Some of us are considering doing it again. Some of us means all of us, because we get unlimited choices. But I'm here and I like teaching through her because she has a quiet mind. I call it suppleness. I want all minds to be supple, not so you can be a channel, but so you can hear your guide tell you where to go and what to do, so that you can have a life that feels fun. Now, why do I want you all to have a life that feels fun? Not just because it's a playground and a vacation land. I want you to have a life that feels fun because when you're happy, the subconscious mind is softer. And when it's softer, we can guide you better. Why do we want to guide you? Because that parent soul being of yours has a vision board. And that vision board was created before you came into this life. And that vision board, much of it does not get attention. Most of it does not get accomplished. I want people to be happy, as we all do, so that your minds settle down. When your minds settle down, you hear us better. When you understand that we are, A-R-E period, we are real, we are alive, we are beings that have always participated in the worlds, in sub-reality-like experiences, and we always will. We created the world. If we created the world, we are the ones that created the worlds. We maintain the worlds. We maintain the balance of positivity. And there's a lot more on that. We're doing a lot in this phase of existence of 4D to 5D. We're helping the worlds in ways that people don't know unless you're paying attention to some highly qualified channels. There's a lot of people out there that are bringing forth some accurate guidance, some ocular experiences that we can say are good. And there are some that are supplemented by the egoic self. We want to help the internal mind to remove its need to supplement information that's coming from the guide realm. And then we can guide you clean, clear, and accurate. I'm the teacher on Monday nights. I teach how to channel. It's intuitive studies, A to Z. But Jesus comes through and teaches A Course in Miracles, spiritually led journey. And all of us participate in what the world now calls law of attraction. We just call it the etheric. All of you have two parts to your body, your physical flesh, bone and blood body, your flesh body, and then your etheric flesh body. Now, this etheric flesh body, you can't see it with the eyes that you have now. Other forms of man have and still can. There's a web. Picture your entire body just covered with a net. And that net is passages. The whole net is passages. You know, it's this web of electromagnetic information that's coursing through, around, and in your entire body. There's so much of it that needs to be cleansed. It's dirty, it's filthy, it's quicksand-like. I just call it sludge. Why'd you get sludge? Because the world is emotional, mostly. The world is emotional. And so it just accumulates. You are meant to clean out those pipes, but you've forgotten how to do it. Now, we don't always use the word mudra. We just say hand positions, because not all the world wants to know about mudras. And some of the mudras have lost their accuracy. Some of them are still good. So we say hand positions, properly done. Hand positions properly done. Now, what are hand positions? Well, it's when you take the hand and you press it or touch it or manipulate it in a way that increases the vibrational component between two or more touch points. When you increase the vibrational nature that you have in your own bodies, it's part of the body that you don't see, but it is used every second of every day because it is your super attractor. It's the one that stops you from hearing us. It's the one that stops you from creating your life on purpose, and it can be cleansed. What happens when it is cleansed? Sky's the limit. Let's say this. You're out on, Carol used to live Old Town Alexandria, so she's well aware of beltway traffic around Washington, D.C. No, because she says, no, I love DC. I love the traffic. I love free-flowing traffic. I love driving. It's always swift and moving. And I always have good roads, and I always have great people, conscientious, friendly people. My experience on the road is so unlike everyone else's because she has created her reality. But let's just say a traffic jam. Everyone understands traffic jam. These passageways, it's a traffic jam. And there's no skipping over it. If there's a traffic jam, this coagulated energy that's vibrating at a way that's discordant to what is proper or natural, then you have to wait until that traffic jam slows down. How do you slow down the traffic jam? By asking it to move along. Move along, please. 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 And there's thousands of different activations that you can do. When we combine a series of them, we call them sequences of the modality, capital T, capital M. There's only one modality of self-healing, and we bring forth different sequences through a number of people, and we have throughout the ages. So we just call them the sequences. But they can be specific or personalized, but there's some maintenance that you can do. So there are ways to ask the energy to get moving. And when it does, well, then you get to breeze through. What do you breeze through? Point A to point B, or C or D or Z. C or D or Z. Because if it's clean, then you get to zip right through. Everybody knows what it's like to drive on a road that has no other cars. And everybody knows what it's like to drive with a few cars or with a lot of cars. Everybody's etheric veins, if you like, is clogged. That's why I say quicksand. You can't get through it. That's why your ideas take so long to manifest, or they don't manifest at all. It's why you want to get some prime seats to pick a venue, and you just can't find them. Well, you could find them because your guide knows exactly where they are, but you can't hear them because clogged pipes. All right, we'll let you talk now.
Well, no, thank you for that. I mean, what allows you then to have that clearer connection with that, I'm going to call it your higher self, or that greater part of you that always knows
Spirit realm.
Spirit realm guides.
The whole realm. Yeah.
What allows you, what stops us from, if we're not hearing that, what stops us from feeling that, or whatever the process will be for someone?
What stops you from anything, from everything, from connecting? But what stops you is how badly different passageways are clogged. You might have nice, clean, only a few cars in your friends and family passages, and so you have good relationships with your immediate family and your close friends. You might have some clogged pipes with making friends. So you don't have a lot of friends, but the ones that you do have, they're very good ones. Now, that's not life experience as it's meant to be. You're meant to be able to make friends, identify the ones that are happy and healthy for you and what your life experience is all about, and then have experiences with them. So you can have many different things happening, and on it goes and on it goes. Some people say, well, I have the ability to create ideas, I just can't manifest them. Well, then your idea passageways might be crystalline. They might be wide open. So you've got great ideas coming. But there are passageways to bringing those ideas to the forefront. If those passageways are clogged, then you can't manifest them.
So why then, in some parts of our life, we could say, "Oh my God, that time in my life, it was just so easy. So much manifestation was taking place." Like for me, for example, right now, I can feel it easing. Do you know that and I'm like, why? And I'm like, okay, it's got to be me that's changed. I've made a change in my thinking. Did I connect with my guides to listen to them? Maybe.
Always. This life experience is simply like this. You came into the world on purpose. Your higher self decided to have a life, and you are the one doing it. You came into this life experience with what we call the guardian, capital T, capital G. We give titles to things sometimes. Now that guardian is a sweet, it's an enormous bond, but it's a collective, it's a mini collective of beings that have come together to help you be a person, to help you stay in the physical perceived world, to stay within the body that your higher self chose, and to heal these passageways. As you are clogging them up, they heal them. How do you help your guide? Well, who is your guide? Number one, that senior being within the guardian is the guide. You are listening to that guide without end. From the moment that you decided to transition in until the moment that you transition out, your guide is constantly flowing communication to you. The way that you hear it is this silent mode that people call intuition. Strengthened intuition is simply, I felt guided, synchronistic experiences. That guide is the most powerful one within your birth collective. We like that term, birth collective. That powerful one is the guide. That's the one that's in charge of this conduit of communication, in charge of your birth intentions, capital I on that one as well. And they are the ones that are helping your parent soul being manifest their vision board. But on the way to manifesting the parent soul beings, we like to say PSB, they're also the ones that are your co-creator. You are partnered up. You just don't know it. Everyone has their own unique partner, and it is for life. So you're always guided. You just don't always hear them. When you do, you think you've had a great idea, but it's not your great idea. It's a great idea that they told you to have. And then you heard it correctly or incorrectly.
Could it be sometimes that for some of us that if things aren't flowing, if there's a clog in a sense, from the description that you gave there, do you think that's because there's some life experience that you're having that's got to go through first? Like you may be going through a relationship that's causing you turmoil or whatever it may be. That's part of the blockage because you've got to get through what you're doing, this experience first before maybe you're supposed to have that ease of manifestation happen, or maybe you're supposed to have both happen. There's so many different variations for life plans that to say one or the other, you can't do that, but there's always something going on at a deeper level. I guess that's what I'm saying.
James, to speak. So I'm going to describe on this one, I'm the highest level guide within Carol's Birth Collective. I communicate with her at all times. She doesn't always hear it verbally. She didn't always hear it verbally. Now, what do I do for a living? I take care of everything. I teach her mind how to learn. Your highest level guide is doing the same thing. You're not left here in a body to hope and pray and cross your fingers that your body is going to do what it's supposed to do, which is learn. I teach the mind how to learn. I teach the mind how to receive us. I teach the mind how to know out of all the plethora of data, of vibrational data that's out there that the subconscious mind can tune into. I teach the subconscious mind how to identify me for Carol. Everyone's highest level guide does the same thing. We are the conduit owners. Now, some people call it the gatekeeper. We don't like that term. We're the conduit owner. And we are the ones that We do not manipulate your life. We participate in your life. When you decide that you want to do some fun thing, we look around your world and your life experience and we say, okay, number one, the world has what you're wanting. Now, what I do, just to give you an example of what a high guide does, is I look at Carol's entire web of passages and I see where she's clogged. And that's where I know what to scoot around. So if she's wanting to manifest something and she's got some block there, then I have to go a different route. Or I have to give her some experiences for that block to shift so that I can bring her another experience. We know everything about your life experience. We know everything about your past life experiences. We know everything about what you are currently manifesting and why. So when we give her her own set of sequences for a certain amount of time, it is so she can do certain things. But I know exquisite information and I can trace it all the way back to the first occurrence. I don't need to, because I know how to give her what she needs in the present moment. Everyone's guide does.
No, this is fascinating. So thank you for coming through. So if Carol was going to make a choice where she felt right now that it would be completely left field to what anything that may be in her life path, are you actually saying that actually, no, it's not what you think is so out of your life path or out of what you're supposed to be doing? It's all laid out there anyway. Is there any free will then?
It's all free will in this experience, because you have free will to seek guidance or use your intuition. If you are someone where metaphysical like things, new age things, spiritual like things are of no interest to you, then your highest guide uses intuition mostly. And so you get to live life oblivious to having a guide, and that's okay. That's free will. Now, if you find your way, and we hope that all people do, to believing in the afterlife, to believing that you have a guide, that's good enough. That's good enough. We want the knowing that all that is real. Some people will gravitate more strongly to wanting connection. And then others, it's a progression. It's a desire that continues to strengthen. And some people start to say, well, I think I just want to get a reading. I want to know what my guides have to say. That's beautiful. And then some people say, well, maybe I want to pick up a oracle deck. I want to try that out. I want to read something new. I want to try a pendulum. And little by little, well, where are they getting those ideas? When someone has an idea that they want to connect to their guide, that person's highest level guide, their co-creator, that partner, creates opportunities for them to come across we are channelers or different channel material, because we want more people to understand that we are teaching the mind a new language. So who are the best teachers of how to interpret vibrational communication? Your very own guide. Your guide teaches your mind, because they know you and they know your blocked passages. They know where your fears and your doubts. They know where you have manifested disbelief, and they know how to work around it. They know where your mind is overzealous and wanting to play a part in the conversation. So they're active partners. We all are for our people. We say our people, our person. We're in charge of, but we're responsible for. We're responsible for the life experience that you're having, and we're always in connection with your parent in spirit.
Have you always had this connection with Carol, or have you been?
Yes. I'm always.
Do some people in their lifetime have different versions of yourself? Like there may be a guy that comes in that's more suitable for the situation that's about to occur or has occurred. Can it change?
There are no changes. The birth collective that we call the guardian, and we all teach it that way. When we teach through Carol, we call it the guardian. That collective of beings is formed and has an energy bond around it. It does not change. Now, we've all had a lot of past lives, and we do bring different lives forward within the guardian to convey information, but it is always up to your guide, that most senior person in the birth collective. It is always up to your guide to bring other helper guides in. Carol has one on the relationship front that's helping to clear some passages of some life experience that has told her that, people don't always come through on their promises. So we're working on that with her to strengthen her own ability to manifest a healthy personal relationship. Now, she does. Free will is part of the experience. Now, when we say that we guide you and it's always intuition, we know what your soul being wanted to experience in this life. Now, what are those birth intentions? It could be to see life from a very big perspective. It could be to see life from a big perception is reality. So it could be that you want to see life from a big perspective. So you might gravitate towards shyness so that you could be an observer in a room. Now, that's a beautiful experience that your soul being is having. Now, the human life experience, and this is where free will comes in, is the human experience of seeing things from a distance might weigh on the person, and they might create shyness within themselves. And they might not like not being center of attention because the world at large says you have to be center of attention in order to be somebody. So they learn to manifest shame. And guilt and shame, shyness becomes something that's bad. When from the soul being's perspective, shyness was something to help you in life so that you could experience different perspectives and then choose the one that would feel good. But people see shyness, and this is just one example, people see shyness as something to overcome. Now, when you say the words, I need to overcome, I need to overcome, I need to overcome, you are creating an energy backup, an energy stockpile. It's an energy block. I need to overcome. So then you run into traffic. You run into not enough money in the bank. You run into aggravating conversations, and you got to really force your opinion in because the word overcome has been accepted by your egoic self. Now, this is a lot of conversation about some really large topics, but to bring it all back, to bring it all the way down to neutral is simply this. We want to help you clear the clutter of the way you think. So when you change the way you think, you change your life. Change your thoughts, change your life. Whatever you think about, you get more of. Whatever you love upon, you get faster. And that's just the way of it. And when you decide that you want to go after something and you love all over it, well, your highest guide in that birth collective is that co-creator. They are the ones that bring experiences to you, and then you capitalize on the ones that you like the most, hopefully.
I can imagine a job like yours is, you're obviously getting lots of growth out of it for yourself, right? But for those who go down this road, right? But for those who commit really, atrocities towards another individual, be it, murder, something really extreme, or some extreme hurt onto another, those guys can't just pack up and leave. There's obviously a lot being worked out in those deeper situations, isn't there?
Always. We never give up on you. We couldn't even if we wanted to. Now, when you asked if I have always been Carol's guide, I said yes. But I've always been the guide of the being that is having the life that is currently Carol. I am her teacher. When she makes her way out of this physical experience and she's back home, so to speak, she will know me as the teacher of the entity being that has had all of her past lives. I am the teacher of her parent soul being. So whenever her entity being, her higher self, whenever they have a physical life experience, I am the guide. You don't ever come into life with some new being. It is the one that is teaching your higher self how to expand its knowing about the world. This is a learning environment. Why are you here? Well, you're here to learn about the world. Why do you want to learn about the world? Because you chose to. You chose to. Your higher self chose to. So you're on this learning journey about the world. And when you chose that subject, then you were given a guide, a teacher. And that teacher is teaching you everything about the world. So as long as you are participating in the worlds, that teacher will remain yours. I'm Carol's, and I always was, and I always will be. Past life, current life, future lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Wow.
the way of it.
Yeah, that, absolutely.
So we pause here for just a moment. That's why we want you to love your guide. Because that guide knows everything about you. Everything. All of your past lives. All of your future ideas on what your lives will be. Everything about this current life. They know everything about you. We want people to love that being, because when you, the human being, decide that that's an important thing for you to do, that subconscious mind says, oh, whatever you think about, you get more of. Whatever you love upon, you get faster. So when you decide to say, I love my guide, I love my non-physical teacher, that subconscious mind says, oh, I didn't know you wanted that. Let's do more of that. And then they clean it, your subconscious mind cleans the passageway or the conduit to hearing your guide. And then your intuition becomes amazing. You have ocular experiences. You might feel the presence of a loved one in a room. You might hear a voice, etc., etc. We want people to use their words kindly towards the spirit realm.
But for someone that's living a life where they're misleading people, right? Purposefully or partly purposefully, if there is such a thing, right? Or for whatever reasons, right? Are you always trying to guide them back, or would you say that this is lessons that they need? This is the discernment lesson that they need to go through for them to self-realize what they're doing, and this comes in from other past lives, maybe.
It's what we call an error. When people live heinous lives, now you can live a heinous life and never cause murder. You can just have thoughts that are so unkind and so unloving. Self-violence is what it's happening is to you, but you're also putting that violent thought out into the world. Now, a person like that would not have those kind of thoughts if these passageways were cleansed. You know, we would like to take the entire correctional system and give them a strong dose of what the whole guide concept is and what the whole chi concept is. And instead of putting them, locking them in the rooms with no good education, we want to teach every one of them what they individually need to do to recirculate thoughts to become a healthier thinker. The guide of each individual person is always the one that's always introducing distraction. We like to say the sparkle. The squirrel. When a human being has a one-track mind on something and that something is not healthy, your guide, it is their job. Well, look at this, look at that. Remember this, remember this. Now the human being might have a memory of something and then they just take it and push on it and make it a secondary bad thought. They never give up and they're always trying to bring you to the better thought. And when you find it and hold it, then they bring you another and another and another. Now, 17 seconds, we all use it. 17 seconds is the amount of time in this current physical reality of this planet. 17 seconds is what it takes for the human being to receive a second thought. When you're on a thought, and you hold it, let's just say a thought that feels good. I like the color purple. And you stay there and you love on the color purple. At 17 seconds, what you're manifesting is momentum of thought. And when you manifest momentum of thought, you are pushing chi through these passageways, through the web, to cleanse it. We want people to stay in that thought for a moment. There's a lot to describe here. Thoughts create things. How do you have a good thought? You choose it. How do you have more good thoughts? Stay with it. For how long? 17 seconds or longer. That 17-second mark is accurate. It is accurate. It's not a subjective number. It is accurate. And so when you just sit there for 5 minutes, you've created momentum. Now, we love the word momentum, because if you've got stale energy, what do you need? The stale energy needs a push to have momentum. And when it has momentum, it self-filters. And it self-filters so that the circulation, we're talking about etheric circulation here. If you have bad circulation in your physical body, terrible things can happen to your physical body. When you have bad circulation in your exterior, invisible, we'll say it that way. When you have bad circulation in the etheric, you have terrible thoughts. Terrible thoughts first, and then the thoughts manifest as something else. Your guide is always the one that's on the job helping you to move over and choose something that's kinder to yourself. In a very real way, it is kinder to yourself first, because the thoughts are coagulated on your own person first. We never give up on you, in other words. We don't, however, bring bad experience to you because it's a lesson. That is such a misguided misconception. We'd like to do away with that thought altogether. We make intentions such as this. I want to see the life. I want to see the life that I'm going to have from a way that creates an opportunity to heal myself from discord. And then you might put a caveat. Discord in the way of money. You might have had 2 or 3 or 10 lifetimes where I had a challenge in the way that I thought about manifesting wealth. So you've had discord with financial things. So you might create a birth intention that says, I want to heal myself of discord with the subject of money. That means that you are bringing a knowing about money, and you want to be presented with the opportunity to choose healthy thoughts about money. That does not mean that you become poor and you've got to suffer through it. That's not it at all. You might just love currency. You might love traveling, and you might love looking at money. You might find yourself in the stock market. You might find that you're gravitated towards things like accounting or QuickBooks, or you just have a knack for mathematics and you decide to teach it because math and money go together. So it's gravitating towards the category, the subject that money falls in, and fall back in love with the subject. Now, human experience could bring discord, but we don't think that you have to manifest discord in order to satisfy that birth intention. You could just fall in love. You could just fall in love and then fall in love with money. And then you check the box. Life experience is of the world. Birth intentions are the foundation, because it's fun to set up goals. I want to do this, but they're always loving goals. Sometimes you do identify some cooperative components are on both sides of this so-called veil. It's not a veil, but cooperative components. There's people helpers that come in and help you manifest different things, but there's also agreements, soul agreements that come through and say, hey, when I get to this phase of my life, step into my life, please. And then you meet a new person you just click. Well, that's because you know each other. You know the signature essence of each other. We set up experiences and time frames, and if you come upon them, then they manifest. If they don't, wow, then you move back into the spirit world and you say, wow, that was great fun. I love that life. I love that I had a life, even if you did these so-called heinous acts. And we say so-called because, remember, it is a perceived experience. It is an experience that people here are having. but it's a purified experience once you move back over into the non-physical dimension.
Absolutely. And I feel that, this is the times that we're sort of heading into, because obviously the conversation between us, well, with yourself as well, has been a lot about the manifestation as well. But isn't that, where we're going as a species, in a sense, especially right now with, pandemic and everything else, it's a time of change. It's a time of rebuilding. It's a time of coming into our power, isn't it? And to do that, we need to reinvest in ourselves and refocus on what we, on what's good and true to us, in a sense.
You are being guided individually and en masse. You, meaning each individual person, you are being guided by your guide, the one who's the most senior being. That is the one that's guiding you. It's talking to you all day long. He, she. We're not a he or she. It's a being that's had lives of both. It's more of an it. But that being, I'm Seth to speak again, that being is that it being is the one that is guiding you throughout this life experience. But collectively, we are also guiding the world in its upward ascension process. We are wanting suppleness in the subconscious sector of the mind, so that more people have ocular experiences. Now, I use the word ocular because I don't want to use the word clairvoyant. It's been overused, and human consciousness is aware that it's, number one, hard. Number two, inaccurate. Number three, doesn't fall in the realm of normal unless you're in that area. We like paranormal, the very best, paranormal. Pairing with the spirit realm as normal. And that's this upward ascension. That is the shift. There are different phases of the shift. And the world is going through another one. It's a purposeful one. It was forecasted long ago. 2020 is what we call a catapult year, not because of COVID. It was a catapult year because it was a year that we were moving forward. Now, we like that it happened in 2020. Clear vision, but it's clear vision of the world is ready for the shift. Now, any of those beings that listened to other channelers, Tina Louise Spalding is one, that brought forth some channelings from the being known as Jesus, described it as the photon belt. Well, we called it the energy belt, chi belt, the source energy frequency belt, because it was a wave of energy that came through that brought purity of thought to the world. So there was a major thing that happened in 2020, happened again in 2021. It will happen again later this spring around the March, April timeframe, and it circulates around the world. It is another way that we are manifesting the shift collectively, and people will begin to have more, we'll use the word because it's more mainstream, clairvoyant experiences. But the world itself will start to feel more loving towards each other, more forgiving, more accepting, more willing to explore new ideas individually, et cetera, et cetera.
And let me just ask you this, because I know we're obviously limited on time here as well, earthly time, but what would you say is the main reason why we come here to have this experience?
To learn about the worlds. To learn about being in constant communication with that superior being called your higher self. And you come into a world knowing that there are passageways that will get clogged, and you are always, the primary reason is to find joy. And when you find joy, the passageways will remain clearer, and then you will learn to receive guidance. When you receive guidance and that physical personality enjoys being connected with the guide, well, then that's a life that we use in a future life, et cetera, et cetera. You're learning about the worlds. Your parent soul being is learning about the world. That's what they're doing in the non-physical. That's what they're doing. And once they investigate it, do some other experiences, they're traveling and doing some realm work, It's a curriculum. It is a curriculum. When they're doing realm work and perceived work and building work and birthing work and all kinds of different things, once they have accumulated and amassed an enormous amount of knowledge about the world, then they come to the decision of whether or not to participate as a physical human being or whether to be a spirit helper. And that's where the choice comes into play. So anybody that is a person, that parent soul being of yours has decided that reincarnation is the way that they wanted to participate. And so that's why you're here. But you are on a learning track of the physical worlds. And this is but one that you are participating in.
A couple of final questions. Are you the same Seth group? Are you exactly the same Seth group that came through Jane Roberts? Or is there a slightly different alignment with this Seth and the Seth group that Jane Roberts channeled?
It's the Seth group. It's a group is synonymous with entity. It's a group. It is my being, all of the lifetimes that I've ever had, all of the branches that I've created, all of the new personalities, meaning physical life experiences that I've had. Now, Jane is connected to my being. Carol did not know it, but her being is connected to Robert's being. I know Jane and Robert. Carol knows Robert. Thereby, I know Carol by way of experiences that I've had with Robert. Because you're not individual bubbles. We blend and we mesh and we overlap. So it was identified before Carol became the Carol that she is, that I would write through her if she found her way to me. We knew that she would be a channel. We knew that she would be a trance channel. We thought she would be an unconsciously a deep trance channel. She found her way to the love of channeling. And then we knew that she would be a light trance channel. Now she found her way to remembering a past life experience with me. And because of that, I was able to step forward. We do not insert ourselves in your life experience. I would have come forward as a teacher and a healer and an author, and I would have written books through her anyway, but I might have chosen a different subject. But it was known that I would continue the teachings that Jane was not able to continue. I laid the foundation of consciousness, who you are, thoughts create things. Gave some indication that the world is on this upward trajectory, the ascending path of the world. Gave some indication that being connected with your guide and your higher self is important. Did not have the opportunity to bring forth the information of healing, the lost art of self-healing. There's only a little bit left in the world that we acknowledge. Too much of it has been diluted. And so I continue where I left off. I've written major works through Carol in the last year. We are pleased with the outcome of them. There is more to do. There's more to teach. I teach the classes, the unfoldment classes. When you find yourself to wanting communication with your guide, we do not want you to learn from a human teacher. We want you to practice with people, but we want you to sit down in a class where we are telling you what you've gotten correct. We can validate. We can validate. It is what I did through Jane. It is what I do through Carol. I don't call it ESP anymore, but Carol has a fondness for ESP, the title, the term ESP. She doesn't know why. Well, it's very easy why. Because part of her is still experiencing those classes as Robert, not as Jane. But people don't understand. People do not fully understand. Past lives are not just layered on top of one another. They're also layered on top of other experiences that your greater being has had. So there is an energy connection that I have. I have identified multiple people that I like speaking through. And I knew without a doubt by the time Carol was about 14 that she would become a channel. And then it was known that I would teach through her. The book writing was built in. That one would happen no matter what. The teachings of Yeshua, the collective, that's an add-on. Life experience is you're not a puppet on a string. I've said that a lot of times. You're not a puppet. Life experience, whatever you find, when you find something and you have passion for it, we look at it and we look at everything that you've got going on. Now, Carol looked at teaching people that they can heal their bodies. Well, we said, well, that's one that she loves, and we're not going to miss the opportunity to bring it forth verbally for the world. And we like that she's interested in doing it big and broad. And that's where you come in and others come in. So we've gotten her where she needs to be to bring these books to fruition, to bring her identity forth in different venues through major networks and opportunities. But she's also done the work. She does her own sequences every single morning, every single evening. She's driving in the car, she holds with one hand, and then most people rest their hand on their lap. She does it with purpose, and she asks me first, what one's good for me as I drive? And I might put it on the outside of her thigh, or I might rest it under her elbow. I might rest it behind her ear, because she doesn't miss an opportunity to clean things up, because she wants the opportunity to bring this out, to guide people individually. She likes doing readings, so do we. She likes the teachings of Yeshua. We like to call it our knowing. She likes what we do through her, and she wants to manifest an opportunity, you can want something. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. She wants to make sure that she's going to get it. And so she does the sequences every day to ensure that she gets it. And that's how these things happen. You don't know how things happen because you don't know why you're here, and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't know where your clogged arteries are.
The sequences are?
They are, period. A-R-E, period. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of ways to teach you how to blink, how to teach the mind how to blink. But there's hundreds of ways to teach your mind to trust us. We want the mind to trust us. The passageways don't have a thinker. It doesn't trust or not trust. It simply is a passageway. And the frequency that flows through it is a frequency. It either flows easy or it doesn't. So what we do is we teach you which energy points need to be activated. It's energy activation within your own personal etheric field. So it all depends. One person can't manifest a new car. Another person can't manifest a new car. Could be completely different reasons why. That high guide that you have looks at your entire passageways, identifies what your problem areas are, and then can identify sequences. Now, there's more to it than that. There's source healing. There's cleansing the entire chakra system. There is removing limited beliefs, which is what we do in the retreat that we designed for her. But there's self-healing that people need to do. But there's also guidance. Now, having a highly qualified channeler bring forth, to be willing, number one, to do these one-on-one things instead of always these big productions where you've got 100 to 200 to 1,000 people in the room. The ones that like to still do one-on-ones, people can get amazing guidance, structured, specific guidance where the channel is not trying to decipher picture books. We just say what we want to say, how we want to say it to that individual person. Specialized, personalized, not general information that you just get out of a book.
When someone says, or when others from the Seth group may say, or the Seth material that are still alive will say that, well, Seth said that he's only going to come through Jane Roberts, otherwise it's going to be a dilution of the material, or it could be he never said that. What he said, well, I think what he said was through Jane. I believe it was that Seth would only come through Jane. How would you answer the diehard Seth fans on that sort of question?
Well, Yeshua, now we are the collective and we speak as one. We said it would always be Jane. We said it would always be Jane. We are the group of beings that channel through people. When a person learns how to channel, it's always their highest guide that is channeling through them first. When their mind opens up, when the crown clears out, then the channelers have an opportunity to teach through that person. It is always the same collective of beings. We use different names: the Council, Abraham, Yeshua, Gaia, others as well. The names that we choose are purposeful for the channel. Sometimes it's purposeful about the information that we're going to teach. So Seth is a being among us. Carol has energy ties to that being. So would it always be Jane? It would. And this is why. When it's a birth intention, it will always be the energies of the being that Seth always chooses. And that's the way of it. It's not Jane meaning Jane. It's the energies of the being that Seth always chooses. That being has many branches and many higher selves. It's a basket of higher selves. And Seth loves that basket. And he chooses from the basket of beings. And when different beings are going to be in the world, he, by request at times, says, I would like to be the being that channels through from the group of beings that are the channeled entities. And so it's always from the basket of beings. It's always from the basket of entities, the basket of higher selves. So it's always from the basket. Jane and Carol do not have a past life connection, nor does Carol and Robert have a past life connection. Higher self being and higher self being have an overlap in the experiential things that they do together. And because of that, there's an easy passage of information from past life to another past life. We call it past life activation. Past life regression is something that will be a conversation for another time. But we activated Robert Butt's life. We activated that life to bring forth the connection with Seth and thereby increasing the energy tie between Seth and Carol directly. That'll be used in a different lifetime. So we activated Robert Butts. Carol and Robert have an energy connection, and because of that, Seth can easily come down and attune to Carol's physical body and then be able to say, I am Seth. He cannot say, I am Seth through Carol if the attunement has not occurred. Otherwise, the mind will be confused about who it's talking to. We're all in this together.
Yeah, maybe that's information at the time when it was coming through, Jane, that was just not ready for us to hear, maybe. What would you like to give as a final message? I know we've been here now for more than an hour and a half, and I'm conscious of, obviously, Carol as well, needing a break. So a final message, and just thank you so much for coming through. Let me just say that as well. Thank you for your time.
Well, we appreciate that. We want to say this. Carol needs no break. She does this 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in a row. When we do the ACIM retreat, it is a retreat where she is in a consistent light trance state. And we not only teach through her, but we flow source frequency through her to heal the unconscious beliefs within the people who have participated. She needs no break. We're with her all day, every day. She loves it. Her physical body is fine. We could go on and on for days, but we know how much to give the world's population at any one time. We have so many things that we teach through people. We have so many things that we, the Yeshua collective, teach through people. We use a different name through each one. Because people like mine. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. That's who I channel. That's who I channel. But we want people to know, we know who you are. If you have the ability budding in you, we call it a trance channel rising. If it is rising in you, we know who you are. And if you like it, then you have become an interest to this collective. The channelers. We channel through the worlds, through a person. We are the channelers. We like your title, but we like to say we are that title. And the human beings are the ones that help us to be able to do what we do. We love everything. We love people. We love the worlds. We love having been here. We do want to guide people to the Pittsburgh Medium for conversations with us, to come to self-healing, to participate in the I Am retreats, to be where we are. We do teach, at Carol's request, every other Thursday night in a 2-hour episode online. Reaches more people. It's called Our Knowing. We bring forth a topic and give some information, and then we open it up for Q&A with everybody on any topic that is important to the audience. It's a small investment in money. It's an enormous investment in your life. And it's also investment for your soul being. So we guide people to Our Knowing events, the I Am retreat, the unfoldment classes, the intuitive study classes, to Spiritually Led Journey, which is a study group of like-minded people on A Course in Miracles, and the Lost Art of Self-Healing, otherwise known as You Can Heal Yourself. And we participate with you. And we're happy to be here today and tomorrow and any other time you invite us back. That is all.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah,
that was fun.
That was great. And I'm going to link everything below in the description below as well. And we will be getting Carol back on in the not too distant future as well. And I just want to say, Carol, just thank you so much for coming on today and for just bringing through what you just did there. So thank you.
You're so welcome. It's been my pleasure. Anytime.